How's it going, folks, and welcome back to another episode of our venture in the visual novel If My Heart Had Wings Flight Diary. Well, it looks like Alvie and Kanako managed to find a common ground in one, getting the rumors resolved, which were not true to begin with, and of course we found out that Yoru kind of had a part in it. Allegedly did not want to have any fun in it, but then again, didn't expect things to spiral out as they did. Hey, we all make that mistake one time or another. And then, of course, Alvie managed to finally get a hold of Kanako and ask what else went on that may not be known, to which, of course, Kanako says that she was drawing a blank on it as well. So at that point, they reached an agreement that if they determine or discover any other information about it, that they would sit down and talk it through. And that is so important. Communication with proper comprehension. It's not enough to just communicate. You also have to communicate with proper comprehension. So that's one of the biggest lessons that I'm seeing in this novel as of right now. Communication with proper comprehension, which means avoid emotion. There are times where we can be emotional, but let's make sure that that emotion is kept in check. Okay, it's not a free-for-all and it's not a loose cannon type of thing, so that's definitely important. But then upon that resolve, we come to find out that the Kazato sisters may be experiencing a discrepancy that is leading to some emotional tension. So with that, we're going to find out what that is now. Amane, can you bring up that last cut and let's find out what is going on here? All right, let's do it. And for good measure? The air hung heavy between the two sisters. The other girls looked uncomfortable too. Each and every one of them looked completely at a loss for what to do or say. Asa and Yoru had been getting into more quarrels lately, but it seemed like this one blew all the rest out of the water. I'd come running as soon as I got word from Agaha. The atmosphere here felt much worse than I could have imagined. Asa had flown into a rage and laid into her sister with a stream of insults. Yoru had acted like she couldn't hear a thing and just let Asa's criticism wash right over her. We managed to calm them down a bit, but it wasn't exactly a productive atmosphere we had going on. We had to suspend all club activities while we got each sister's side of the story. So what are you two fighting about? Cut it out, you two. Be cool. Sparks were starting to fly again already. I hastened to separate the two of them. Your license? Did that mean what I think it did? I looked to Kotori and Agaha for confirmation. They both nodded. Nothing wrong with that. Is that true, Asa? Asa nodded firmly. Seeing that she wants to step up, that seems cool. Asa looked over at me for a second.
こらこら、そこで自信なさげな顔しないの。本当に助かってるんだから。アサちゃんが手伝ってくれなかったら、今よりももっと作業が遅れちゃってただろうし。
Not only that, We couldn't even have brought back the soaring club without you.
そういうわけよ。だからもっと胸を張りなさいって、朝。はい。
Kotori's praise seemed to get through to Asa.
有資格者も相手の都合に合わせて作業スケジュールを組めば問題ないはずよ。いざとなったら天音先輩もいるんだし。
Sure, I guess it's okay to ask Amane for advice now and then.
それに資格なんて取らなくても姉さんは私も。
I'm starting to suspect ulterior motive.
夜ちゃん？なんでもないわ。
Busted! Yoru clamped up and started to sulk. She cleared her throat and tried to steer the conversation back on track.
とにかく今は期待のことを優先した方がいいんじゃないと思ったの。
Well, she wants to be able to fly too. That's understandable. I mean, look, in my history as a audio engineer, I didn't start off on the mixing console. I was actually doing all the infrastructure of the system to begin with. But building upon those layers actually is the best way to do it, because you learn all the factors of it, not just the flying part. Because to do the mixing part, you have to understand the infrastructural part. So with that, I believe it's the same thing here. You have to get all the technical aspects down, and then you can really apply that to the piloting. Asa's only response to her sister's well-reasoned argument was a low growl. Kotori was also silently chewing over Yoru's argument. Huh? When did Kanako get in here? I could see her in the shadows of the entrance, sneaking glances in my direction. Our eyes met. She gave me a resigned smile.
喉乾い
た。There's some soda in the fridge.
あれ？みんなしてそんな難しい顔しちゃってどうしたの？
Bad timing. Oh, I understand now. She'd been waiting for her chance to make an entrance.
ねえねえ、何があったの？
Well... And that about covers it.
なるほどね。
I finished giving Kanako a rundown of the situation. As for Yoru and Asa, they were both sulking now, facing away from each other. Kanako looked from one to the other and smirked.
ソアリング部のみんなって本当にどんなことにも一生懸命だね。
Her smirk changed into a full, good-hearted smile. You could tell this was her way of trying to help.
でも、もう少し肩の力抜いてみてもいいんじゃない？
Huh? That got their attention. Asa and Yoru were looking at Kanako as if she'd started speaking in tongues.
突っ走ることも必要だけど、周りが見えなくなるのは怖いわよ。
Those are actually very wise words. I am quite passionate myself in the realm of audio engineering, but even sometimes I can go too far. So this is a very, very profound statement right here to balance all that out.
楽はできるときにしとくべきよ。肝心なところでつまずいたりしたら元も子もないんだから。
Good wise words. I'm proud of you, Kanako. Proud of you. Kanako started easing the tension out of the situation like it was the most natural thing in the world. Kotori Agaha and I were all staring at her now. She finally noticed how many people's gazes were focused on her. That probably put some pressure on her, but she tried her best to shrug it off.
まあ、私が言うなって話なんだけどね。
I think I get what Kanako means.
どういうこと？
Basically, I think we've let Asa take on too much on her own. She worked just as hard, harder even, than any of us, and because she never complained, we started taking her efforts for granted. As one of the older club members, I should have shown her more consideration, but I hadn't noticed until Kanako pointed it out. Would Asa have kept on working all alone until she collapsed from exhaustion? The thought of what might have happened sent a chill down my spine. I guess Kanako knew these two better than I did. She'd seen the signs of stress where the rest of us missed them. Our real challenges are only just beginning. We've got to take things slow and steady. And Asa, try to think less about how you can be useful to the club and more on what you're actually interested in doing.
わかりました。私の話は聞かなかったのに、どうして葵先輩の言葉は簡単に受け入れるのよ。
I suppose it has to do also with how it's presented. I think that has something to do with it also. And this is one thing about debates and even to a degree arguments. Too many times we do a lot of listening to reply and not enough of listening to understand. Now, of course, that goes both ways and ultimately try to converse into a common ground if possible. Now, there are some people that are just absolutely unreasonable. You know, those folk you may not get very far with, but ultimately still keep it respectful. But the key factor is we must listen to understand and come up with a reasonable solution that is able to help everyone. But too many times we just listen to reply. I ignored the jealous stare Yoru shot at me and gave Asa a gentle pat on the head. Don't you just want to pat her right now? It didn't feel like we were going to get anything else done today, so everyone headed back to the dorm and their own rooms. Kanako? I called Kanako back before she could leave. I needed to properly thank her for helping reconcile Yoru and Asa. For some reason, though, she looked less than chipper now that the moment had passed.
なんか、ごめんね。
For what?
まあ、余計なことしちゃったなって。
She smiled awkwardly. I couldn't let her stay like that. I shook my head empathetically. No, that's not true at all. I was a little surprised at first, but I'm really glad you stepped in to help.
嬉しい？
She blinked in confusion. Yeah, it shows how close you've gotten to those two. It feels like you're really part of the group now, so yeah, it really made me happy.
本当に？ちょっとうざいなとか思ったりしなかった？
Of course not.
そっか。だったらいいんだけどね。
Kanako put a hand over her heart, looking all kinds of relieved. Her smile had relaxed into something more natural. Seeing her like that, my pulse started to race again.
やっちゃったな。
Kanako had only gone to watch how things played out, but she just had to open her big mouth, she thought. Before she knew it, everyone was looking at her.
でも、
I always said it made him happy. Kanako hadn't been expecting him to say that. She felt something like relief, with a pinch of happiness mixed in. Aoi, she thought.
葵くんならいいのかな。
I think it may be starting to really spark. There we go. All the prep is done. What's next? I'd been a little too reliant on miso lately, so today I wanted to make some osmashi soup instead.
おはよ
Morning.
う。 今日の朝ごはんは何？
I went all out with some classic Japanese dishes. I fried some salmon in sesame oil, seasoned it with ponzu sauce and negi, and served it with white rice, mitsuba, parsley, and natto. On top of that, I threw together some leftovers into a salad with abarash and Mizuna greens. Sorry if I butchered that. All I needed to do now was dress some spinach and sprinkle on sesame seeds, then fry some eggs, and it would all be ready.
ほほー、どれどれ？
Whoa! Hey, give me some warning before you come swooping in. Sheesh.
まあまあ、固いこと言わない。
Wow. A smile that cute should be illegal. It made me feel like nothing else mattered.
ほほー、手慣れたものね。
Kanako tucked some loose strands of hair behind her ear and nodded in approval. I found myself entranced by her movements. A sweet aroma drifted into my nostrils. Hey, I've got to light the stove. You mind standing back a little?
はいはい。
I felt the tension going out of my shoulders as Kanako moved away. The distance between her and me had closed over the last few days, but emotionally and physically. I was happy I got to see that lively smile of hers again, even if she was a tad overly relaxed now. Once again, I found myself wondering if she even considered me a guy at all.
おはよう。おはよう、コトリン。ハット先輩もおはようっす。わわ。
That is hilarious. Here, drink this. It might help you wake up. I handed Kotori her usual coffee with a dash of milk and sugar.
ありがとう。
Help yourself to some too, Kanako.
あ、サンキュー。苦い。でも、目が覚めるわ。
That's a fast metabolism.
ねえねえ、今日も部活あるんでしょ？私もついてっていい？
Oh, she's showing interest now. How about that?
構わないわよ。そんなにあの秘密基地が気に入った？もう、そんなとこ。
Maybe she was still worried about Asa and Yoru. It was the first time we'd seen those two get into a fight that fierce. It was unsettling, considering how close they usually were.
まあいいわ。戦力が増えるのは喜ばしいことだし。
Right. We could use an extra hand or two. The glider parts we asked Tatsuya for were finally getting delivered today.
やっぱり次の機会ということで。
Like I ain't come to help you, I just came to watch. I'm a spectator.
ダメ。
Ooh. And so we recruited a strong and reliable new worker. Oh boy. I took a break and sat back from my desk. As I was working my stiff neck back and forth, I heard a chiming sound. Working a stiff back and forth. You mean like this? I glanced at the clock. The day had really flown by. I'd been sitting in the same position nearly 2 hours solid. No wonder I was feeling sore. So close, though. It's open. Who could it be at this hour?
こんばんは。
Bingo! And we're going to find out what they're going to talk about, if there's anything, on the next episode. Oh my gosh, I know I'm killing you with the cliffhangers. Just all the cliffhangers. Like, why are you doing this to us, man? Why are you doing this to us? Why you do this? Why you do this? But, you know, that's how it is. So with that, I want to thank everyone for watching this video this time around. If you like what you saw, maybe consider leaving a like. And if you would like to see more, maybe consider subscribing. And until next time, happy mixing, everyone.